hung up, then she was definitely following. And then we'd do the whole thing where we'd bring her on the stage and we'd give her a mod badge, and she'd just park there, probably not even listening to the app. But she did these rooms that she would open, and she'd be like, okay, guys, this room's only going to be open for 15 minutes. Let's say something positive. And I'd sit in there, and, like, people would go around the room saying the most fucking mundane shit, and then she'd just be like, okay, everybody, I'm gone. And then the room would be over. So my experience with her was that I thought she was a clout chaser. She did seem nice, and she actually has real-world experience, which, you know, that's something that most people on this app can't say. You know, like, where she's done some cool shit. But the way that she engaged was definitely very clout chasing. That was at a time when they thought that, hey, as long as you have followers, somehow, some way, you're going to be able to monetize that. And, like, I wouldn't say she was a grifter, because I don't know what her grift was, but she was definitely in it for the...
Don't bring back that phrase, those clout chasing phrases. Oh, I hated that in season 2.
I think it's interesting.
I'm with you on there, 100%. The cloud chasing was so bizarre, and to JB's point earlier about, you know, all the grifters on here, I didn't realize like everyone and their mother in the kitchen sink were life coaches.
Yeah, there are definitely those things. I will note, like, a couple of times that I've seen Eric Weinstein on the app, it was in Cammy's rooms.
Eric Weinstein was a regular in Healthy Debates.
He came to all the rooms. He would bop around all the time.
Yeah, he was one of the 50 people that they made it where when you downloaded the app, here's the 50 people that you might want to follow, and then you could click one button and you're following him. And as a result, he had like 8 million followers or some shit like that. That's why when he would come in the room, like, we used to refer to it as the Weinstein bump. Back at peak popularity, if he jumped in the room, you would get about 100, maybe 200 people, and if he jumped on the stage, you'd get about 800 people that would pile in. So, like, there was a huge jump when he would pop in.
What was his deal again? Was he a big financial guy? What was
he used to work for Teal, but he's a mathematician, but I think most of the things that people would know him for is just being part of that quote unquote intellectual dark web, and, you know, going on the podcast circuit and, you know, talking about things that used to be people were uninterested in. It used to be people would listen to Drive Time or Sports Talk Radio or whatever, and then when that explosion of, like, these, you know, public intellectuals came, he was just one of those. Him and his brother Brett.
He was also fun in the political spaces because he seemed to have a floor. He liked having the discussions, and he would stay for a while. I know a couple of times he parked up there for a couple hours. It's like, Jesus, guy's great.
Yeah, I saw him in a lot of the philosophy spaces. He definitely parked, but I don't see him anymore on this app.
The last person that had much of an audience that would come to the room regularly and participate on the stage was Lex Friedman. He's probably the last of the celebrities that, if you want to call him that.
He would sometimes, like, randomly appear in Kemi's spaces.
Lex just didn't like the recorded part. He did not want to be recorded.
What Lex appreciated about...
What did he do?
Lex Friedman's a podcaster. He's an engineer. If you listen to him, some people love him, some people hate him. He speaks very slowly, but he likes to get, you know, people on his podcast and get into some pretty deep conversations. You know, he's had Elon on his podcast probably more than, I don't think, you could probably add all of Elon's podcast appearances on other major podcasts together.
Rogan's had it more.
No, there's no way. Absolutely no way.
As far as Brett Weinstein, he started a podcast called the Dark Horse Podcast that he does with his wife, who's also another professor.
That's Brett's